Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time, as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to look at the best games on the Nintendo GameCube. This is one of the most important consoles for me in my gaming career because I played the most games on it. I think I still, to this day, own the most Nintendo GameCube games out of all the consoles that I have. I love this console and there were so many fantastic experiences, I really found it hard to limit myself to 10. I usually do my favorite 10 and 10 honorable mentions, but this time I really could not limit it to just that many. There are too many fantastic games on the Nintendo GameCube. In fact, it's such a shame that it didn't sell as well as it could have because they're probably had the best set of exclusives in the entire console generation. I really love the Nintendo GameCube. So I'm going to do my top 15 GameCube games with 10 honorable mentions. So let's get the honorable mentions out of the way. I'll just rapid fire through them. We've got Time Splitters 2, Tales of Symphonia, Metal Gear Solid, Twin Snakes, Beyond Good and Evil, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, Rogue Squadron 2, Killer 7, Pikmin, Beautiful Joe 2, and Soul Calibur 2. I really enjoyed all of those experiences. You'll notice that several sequels on there. I just had so many other phenomenal games that I just couldn't quite make them onto my list. So first off, we'll start off with number 15. That's going to be Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. This is one of the weirder entries in the GameCube's history because it uses a peripheral, the bongos, the DK bongos. I'm sure you've seen them. People use them in like challenge videos for like Dark Souls and stuff. It's a very interesting controller. It has a bongo on either side. You can hit them both at the same time to get a different type of beat. You can clap using the motion sensor or the sound sensor. You'll get a certain like an actual clap in the game. It's a very unique controller, but I didn't understand what they were doing with a fold adventure game using the bongos until I started playing it. It's actually fairly intuitive. It's not my first choice, but it is really unique, and the gameplay is more interesting because you're using this controller. You tap one side several times to move Donkey Kong forward, tap it back to move him backward. You can jump by hitting them together, and if you clap, he does a little clap in the game, and any surrounding bananas around him he will grab. This game is really interesting because it has combos like getting more bananas and getting them in sequences and doing certain things throughout your adventure will give you more bonuses, which nets you more bananas. The goal of each level, each world, is to get platinum ranks, which is the highest. That's like a secret rank, actually. You should get the highest rank that you possibly can. I grinded this game and got all platinum ranks, and some of the levels were incredibly hard to get that. You have to be essentially flawless in your execution and your game plan, and then the boss fights were just so much fun. Really ingenious game, honestly. For using this peripheral, I think they knocked it out of the park. I really wish that this game wasn't just relegated to that. I'm glad that they gave it the new controls on the Wii port. I thought that was a great idea because this game did not deserve to just be relegated to a peripheral on the GameCube that you're going to forget about. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat was a really fun time. Number 14 is going to be Super Mario Sunshine. Now, I don't love Sunshine, honestly. That's why it left off my top 10. But it's still a fantastic game because Nintendo makes great Mario games. I think the setting is one of the best in the entire franchise. I love that they got this wacky story with Mario getting framed. I like Bowser Jr.'s introduction here. I like a lot of what they did. The flood mechanic even is really interesting and cool and unique, but I don't love everything about it. In fact, I don't love how imprecise it makes the rest of the game. Using like the flood to stall yourself in the air if you miss a jump, using the rocket booster, using like thing that shoots you like, or you can dash, you can shoot up in the air. I don't love how it takes away the precision in the precision platforming. That's what I love about Mario games, is that they are all about the platforming, and the flood just kind of ruins it for me in a lot of ways. But this is incredibly unique. I love a lot about this game. I still enjoy playing it. The boss fights aren't my favorite, but some of them are really unique and cool. I never 100%ed this one, which is a rarity for me. I typically do. But even with the Switch port, I just couldn't bring myself to fully finish it. So Mario Sunshine stays at number 14 for me. Number 13 is going to be Animal Crossing. I love the Animal Crossing franchise. I'm a huge fan. I remember playing this at my friend's house because I didn't have it myself, and I really just enjoyed it so much. It was such a breath of fresh air. It was something unique and innovative. I loved catching bugs things and fishing and upgrading your house and decorating it. There's so many secrets and little things that you can pack into your house, like little NES versions of games that you can play. It's such a brilliant title, and making it such a relaxing, fun, simulating experience made it the franchise that it is today, with New Horizons being such a massive success on the Switch. It's no wonder. It started on the GameCube, though, and the original entry is actually one of my favorites. It might be my favorite even to this day. With all the innovations they did with New Leaf and New Horizons, I still might enjoy the original the most. Number 12, is going to be Luigi's Mansion. Now, I missed Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube. I didn't play it until I got the 3DS port, and then I went back after I got a secondhand copy of the GameCube and played the original. And it's a ton of fun. Launching with a Luigi spin-off game instead of having a Mario game with the console was a bold move from Nintendo, but it paid off in spades, now becoming its own franchise. Luigi's Mansion is super fun. Gave Luigi a ton of unique personality. The ghost busting mechanic is really fun and unique. It's a completely different spin on the Mario formula. You don't do any platforming or jumping. It's completely different and new, and I think it's a really great time. I love the original Luigi's Mansion, and Luigi's actually my favorite video game character of all time. I main him in every Smash Brothers game, Light Blue Luigi specifically. I love him. He's really fantastic. So Luigi's Mansion's going to go here. Number 11 is going to be Mario Kart Double Dash. I have some incredibly fond memories with this game, playing with my friends, playing with my family. This game is out of this world good. In fact, I think it's the best mechanic in all of the Mario Kart games to have two riders and have special items for each rider themselves. I think that makes so many interesting combos, unique combinations that you can run. The kart combinations are fantastic. I just really love what they did with this game. I like that they brought back the double boxes for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and there's no denying that has the best driving by far, but honestly, I miss so much about Double Dash. So much chaotic fun. A lot of the tracks are so iconic. I'm glad they made it into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I really miss that unique mechanic with the two racers and the unique special items. I would really like to see that return in a future Mario Kart game. But now getting into the actual top 10 list now, we're going to start off with Pikmin 2. I mentioned in my honorable mentions that the original Pikmin was there. It was so innovative and interesting. It originally started off as a tech demo for the GameCube and then turned into a fully fledged title. The mechanic of having to worry about 30 days to get all your things before you run out of oxygen was really cool and interesting and kind of scary, made some tension. But I think Pikmin 2 took everything that made the original and just cranked it up. You are no longer subjected to a time limit. You're a treasure hunter this time around. There are new Pikmin varieties. There are like caves to dive into. And there's an interesting challenge mode that you can also do with another friend. The multiplayer aspect is fantastic. I remember sitting there with one of my best friends growing up, and we would play the Pikmin 2 challenge maps all the time. We would grind them to see if we could beat them. Not only beat them, but if you beat them without losing a single Pikmin, you get a special icon on it. If you beat it originally, it shows a white flower, but if you beat it without losing a Pikmin, you get a purple. And we grinded until we got all purples, and it was a very, very hard thing. But it was so much fun. I think this especially at the time was the best of the Pikmin series. I think it's right up there with Pikmin 4 now in terms of quality. It might even be my favorite in the series. It's hard to beat Pikmin 4 with how cool and easy it is to jump into that game. But Pikmin 2 was a ton of fun. Finding all the treasures was a monumental task. This was a big game. I got this game in a bargain bin, I think for $8, and it was one of the best $8 I have ever spent. Back in the day. I think it was at the mall randomly in some store. I remember being so excited to play that one, and I had a blast with Pikmin 2. Number 9 is going to be the Resident Evil remake. This game is so phenomenal. It's a lot of people's favorite Resident Evil game, and for good reason. This was the remake of the original game that came out in like the PlayStation 1 era of consoles. A really fantastic title, but very dated, especially in its graphics. And so, and the controls and everything, it definitely needed a makeover, and it got one relatively early, within I think 6 years, something like that. Gets a remake on the GameCube, and was a landmark title for the console. It took everything that made the original so scary and cranked it up to 11, because now it's gorgeous visuals. Everything is much more terrifying, right up in your face. They added new mechanics too. I think everything they did with the remake is fantastic. I finally got back and beat this game fairly recently, I think within the last year or so. I plan on doing a review of this one at some point, but man, even the controls still work pretty well. I know tank controls and fixed camera angles aren't everyone's cup of tea, but it does add to the horror in a lot of ways, and I really enjoyed playing through this one. Getting to the very end was incredibly satisfying, and I really love the remake, and I have some really fond memories of watching my brother play this one, so this one sits firmly at number 9 for me. Number 8 is going to be Metroid Prime 2. I actually considered leaving this one in the honorable mentions because I really love the Prime series. I love all the Metroid games, and I thought maybe it's gratuitous to leave this, but I realized that Metroid Prime 2 is just too phenomenal to leave off my top 10. There are some other games that go above it, but man, Metroid Prime 2 is so much fun. It learned everything it could from the original and did a lot of new things with it. You have a lot of new beam differences. You have different suits now. You have a whole other dark world and light world thing, and going back and forth between them and utilizing your different suits, your different beams and everything is really fantastic. This was also the introduction of the screw attack into the 3D games, which is really cool. The only fault I have for Metroid Prime 2, honestly, because the boss fights are phenomenal, the gameplay is spectacular, it did everything right that the original game did. The only thing that I can fault it is that it didn't do exactly what Metroid Prime did, which was innovate on the formula in such a major way. It was just a really great sequel in every respect, but because Metroid Prime 1 was so groundbreaking, people forget about how good Metroid Prime 2 was, so I had to put it here on my list. Number 7 is going to be The Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. This game was another groundbreaking game when it launched. I remember a lot of the hype surrounding it came from how the acrobatics happened in the game. You could run on walls, you had all sorts of things with climbing, you have like parkour elements. This was parkour predating Assassin's Creed. This was kind of their test run for that kind of thing, and it works incredibly well. And pairing that with great combat and great environmental puzzles and a brand new mechanic for the series, this was a way to bring the series in the modern era with the Sands of Time, the dagger that you hold. It holds a certain amount of sand. If you miss a jump and you fall to your death, you can utilize the sand to correct yourself. You can rewind time to a certain degree, and you can try a jump again. You maybe mistimed it, maybe you tried something, it didn't work. I'm going to rewind time, do something different. Or if you're taking damage, you just died, rewind time, try again. You maybe have another game plan going forward fighting someone. It's an ingenious mechanic, and it was mind-blowing for the time. There's a reason why this game had so much hype when the remake was announced, and it's a shame that it has kind of gone by the wayside, because I really would like to see this game make a resurgence, because this was a landmark title and so much fun to play. I have fond memories of the Sands of Time. Next on my list is going to be number 6, Beautiful Joe. This game screams style from start to finish. You play as just some ordinary Joe whose girlfriend gets kidnapped, and you have to go and rescue her from movie land. It's a weird setup, it has cel-shaded graphics, and it is so cool the entire way through. You have all sorts of VFX effects that you utilize. You can like speed up time, you can slow down time to dodge things in slow motion, which also changes the way you attack certain enemies. You have to utilize different abilities the entire way through. It's just one of the most unique games ever made, period. It's so wacky and cool at the same time. Joe utilizes this wristwatch that he gets from this superhero in the movie land, and he becomes Beautiful Joe. I'm playing it right now. I'm replaying it right, and I'm having such a fun time with that. I'm maybe a quarter of the way through. It's just as good as I remember it, maybe even a little bit better now that I'm a better gamer and know how to utilize combos and stuff. It's so stylish and so cool. Everyone should be playing Beautiful Joe. It's a shame that it only exists on the console generation that it does. It needs some ports, because this game is fantastic. Number 5 is going to be Super Smash Bros. Melee. I have some really fond memories with this game. I remember playing it in all sorts of parties, just playing with my friends, playing by myself. I have really fond memories unlocking the characters specifically. Everyone like passing around the info on how to unlock Mewtwo at the time was really cool and really fun. Getting all the characters was so satisfying. I love the action figure aesthetic that it holds throughout the game. You have the trophies that you can collect. The adventure mode was really cool. The challenge modes were fun. This game is just a whole lot of fun, and it has a lot of staying power to this day because of the competitive side of it too. This was a major competitive game back in the day in grassroots organizations, but nowadays it's like a major competitive fighting game. It has stayed the test of time, whereas Brawl and Smash 4 have gone the way of old age due to a new game coming out, Brawl having Smash 4 and Smash 4 having Ultimate. Melee has stayed in the competitive scene because it's so interesting. The meta continues to change even with this game that's well over 20 years old at this point. It's a phenomenal game because of its staying power and how unique it was. Smash 64 was so phenomenal, but Melee was way better, and everyone loved this game. I can't think of anybody who did not enjoy playing Melee if you played it back in the day. It's so fantastic. Number 4 is going to be Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Now, I love Mario RPG games. They're so fun. The original on the Super Nintendo, the Mario and Luigi games on the Game Boy, and all the handheld consoles. I love Paper Mario, the original one on the Nintendo 64. I just think Mario works with turn-based RPGs so well, and the original really set up the world so fantastically. The paper aesthetic is beautiful and gorgeous, and it really established a precedent for the series going forward. And Thousand Year Door capitalized on that in such a major way, improving literally everything about the game. You have new abilities, new companions, the interactivity in everything that you do in combat is so out of this world good. I love that you can time your attacks to get more damage or extend your combo longer. I love that you can time blocks to mitigate damage and sometimes save yourself. The companions are exceptional throughout. The story is fantastic. You have a weird enemy in this game. You play as Bowser every now and again, and Paper Bowser is really cool. I think that everything about this game screams perfect game design. I'm so happy that Nintendo is remastering this one and putting it on the Switch, because that means hope for the franchise going forward. I didn't like the direction it took after Thousand Year Door, getting rid of the turn-based combat. Super Paper Mario was really good, but it was a little too different for my taste. Sticker Star kind of felt like a return to form in some ways, but really missed the mark in almost every regard. The combat system was just not it. Color Splash was, again, good, just not as good as the turn-based stuff. And then Origami King is interesting, but pretty gimmicky. I would love to see the franchise get righted and go back to its roots. And I think with the sales of Thousand Year Door on the Switch being so monumental, I think we're going to get it. Number 3 on my list is going to be Resident Evil 4. Now, if you've seen my review of that one, if you haven't seen that one, go check it out after this video. I love Resident Evil 4. I gave it a platinum rank, one of my highest recommendations. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. I think it's number 5 on my list, maybe number 4. I believe it's 5. Go check out that video too. Resident Evil 4 is a perfect action horror experience. And the fact that it's sitting at 3 should tell you something about the other 2 games that are going to be on this list. Resident Evil 4 is the perfect action horror experience and the best Resident Evil experience in my opinion. Everything about it, from the graphics at the time when it launched, to the story, to the gameplay, to the tension and horror that it puts into this experience, is just out of this world. I've replayed this game maybe more than any other video game ever. I bought it on tons of consoles. I played the original on the GameCube. I played it on the Wii, played it on the PS2 at my buddy's house. I played it on the PS4 when it got ported over there, and I played the remake on the PS5. I love Resident Evil 4 so much. And if you want to hear my full thoughts, please go check out that other video. Number 2 is going to be Metroid Prime. This game, again, is an example of perfect game design. Nintendo did everything right bringing Metroid from 2D to 3D. I'm actually astonished that they were able to make something so perfect on their first go. Bringing the gameplay itself was such a huge challenge. The fact that they got the morph ball working at all is a huge monumental achievement. Apparently they were ready to quit production on the morph ball mechanic entirely and go straight for first person exploration, but they were able to figure it out, and it runs like an absolute dream. The Switch port is everything I hoped it would be. It really showcases how fantastic this game was when it launched and how perfectly it ages into the modern era. Metroid Prime is a perfect game for its combat, for the way that you scan everything in the environment to learn about the lore. It like drives you to learn about the lore, or to unlock environmental puzzles to find secrets. And the boss fights are extraordinary. The story that you follow, that again you learn through the lore, is immaculate and perfectly told. It's told metered out perfectly throughout your experience. all the way to the end, this is really a 10 out of 10, and I cannot say enough good things about Metroid Prime. But number one on my list is going to be The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Now, I can't say enough about this one either. I did a review on this. Please go check it out afterward if you want to hear my full thoughts on this game. But this was really the pioneer for 3D Zelda games for what they are today. It set up the idea of open world exploration. The seafaring mechanic is one of the best in the entire franchise, in my opinion. I love sailing the seas. The setting, having it not be in Hyrule, having Hyrule underwater, this mysterious enigma of Ganondorf not being very present in the lore of the world that you're in, and people not being ready for the threat of him, Zelda being missing but hiding among the people, the fact that you're not the hero of time or connected to him and that you just forged that yourself. Everything about this game is just so perfect, and I love what it does for the Zelda franchise in general. And the cell shading ages beautifully. The HD version on the Nintendo Wii U is perfection. It shows how well that style and that art style just brings into the present day. I love Wind Waker. If it weren't for Link to the Past, Wind Waker would be my favorite video game of all time. So it has to go as number one on my list for top 15 GameCube games. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below your favorite Nintendo GameCube games, and I will see you on the next one.